Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Jim Davis, and I am going to walk through the Acumatica construction projects today. Let's start off by just introducing Acumatica. Some of the differentiations between Acumatica and other products is Acumatica is really at the top of the technology platform using AI and machine learning. It constantly gets ranked best in class for business and industry functionality. And it's also customer friendly, which you'll see some of today. With Acumatica's open architecture, we allow third-party products to directly integrate via the APIs to Acumatica, making for clean integration. As you can see, some of the largest companies are already integrated with Acumatica, including Procore. And Procore actually just released its new interface to Acumatica. Acumatica has over 8,500 customers worldwide. Why that's important is it is not an untested product. This product is verified and ready to be used. Acumatica continues to win awards, whether it's for G2 or Gartner, ranking top in its class. Acumatica uses modern security, and that's security at the web and security within the product itself. You can get very detailed, allowing many users to use the product, where lots of companies don't want outside users to be using their software because they can't control it. With unlimited users in Acumatica, security is very important, and it is very detailed. The last thing I wanted to mention about Acumatica is it's accessible from anywhere on any device. So as long as you have a web connection, you can use your computer, a tablet. It is an app, so you do have an app for things like your iPhone or your Samsung, and you can really get to anything you need at any time. So let's go ahead and take a look at the product. Right now, I am on the home screen inside of Acumatica. And we can see all the information we want. So with this particular home screen, this is a dashboard. Obviously, looking at this, I can see a lot of information about my projects. We have a very project-driven product with Acumatica in the construction version, allowing those project managers or superintendents to get information cleanly and easily in the system. Acumatica also allows for approvals in the system, whether it's for change orders, subcontracts, or even just setting up the project just to make sure it's correct when it gets set up. The other thing Acumatica has is a business events piece. And with the business events, it's almost like having an assistant. It constantly looks through the data to find things that meet a condition or break a rule and does something because of it. Some of those examples might be expiring compliance, like insurance to a vendor. The system will notice that and has the ability to automatically send that vendor an email asking for new insurance certificates. Or maybe it's looking at the budget versus cost, and it's notifying different individuals as we're about to run over budget. Just making it easier to follow along with what's going on inside the system. Let's go ahead and take a look at the jobs now. So I'm going to go to construction and projects right here. And we're going to go inside of a project. Now, Acumatica has reimagined the way a job screen looks. And I think this is very important to point out. Everything's right here for me in this job screen. Let's think about what that really means. Most likely right now, what you have to do to set up a project in a legacy type system is you're going to go in and set up a project. Then you're going to get out of that project, go over to something called enter budget or enter estimates and set up your budget. Then you're going to go out of that, go into something, probably something along the lines of a contracts type module and set up a contract and how you're going to be billing. And you have to do those all in separate places. In Acumatica, it's all available right here on this one screen. So as we start looking through this, you can see on my main screen, I do have all the basics of the information, where the job site is, project address, my project manager, and we can actually modify all of these screens because of the architecture that is in Acumatica. For instance, this piece right up here is a widget that is designed by Alliance Solutions Group that we give to our customers. So it really does make it a more customizable program so you can have what you want. Let's look through the job screen now. So we have task, and the quickest way to understand a task is it really is a grouping. It's how we're going to group things together in the system. It could be a sub job, or a phase, as you see here with general conditions, site work, so forth and so on. It's also the schedule of values. So you can see when we have a task, we can make it a cost and revenue task, or just a revenue task, or just a cost task. So it really gives us a quick place to add all this information. Then we move over to our revenue budget, and we pull those tasks in and actually set up our contract right here in this screen. Then we can move over to our cost budget and set up our cost budget. Now you'll notice with our cost budget, I have that many to one relationship. So I might have that one project task, that grouping, but I have lots of cost codes. And even inside the cost codes, I can have multiple account groups or categories, as some people refer to them. But this is where I set up my budget. So I can very quickly set up the entire screen right here, this entire job. And as we look across the cost budget, I can even see all the information. So I can see things like committed amounts, I can see actual amounts, I can see variances, I can also see projections, because Acumatica has the way to do cost projections built into the system. Not only can I see all of this information, I can actually perform transactions. So for instance, when I come over here to my revenue budget, I can go in here and I can scroll down or right over here and tell it, well, I want to bill $5,000 on this line. It'll do it, and it's going to figure out all the information and my percent complete. If I scroll down, I could say, well, we're now 60% complete on this line, and it's going to figure out my pending invoice amount for me. Once we have that information, we can run project billing. We can do T&M through the system. We can do more of the AIA type billing, the 701, 702, or 703 type billing in the system, which I'll show you right now. So when we run that project billing, what it does is it creates a pro forma. And if we go out here and we look at one of these pro formas, it's just another step for you to be able to look at it, see kind of how our bill is going to be, the amount we're going to be invoicing. But you'll notice right up here, we can print that report. So I can, from my job screen, create that 702, 703 type billing. It is not the actual 702, 703 because those are copyrighted documents. It is just that kind of a format. So we can look at both pages, you'll see that that is the case. Acumatica has also been able to develop the ability to change these invoices after they have been released and sent to owners. So we have the ability to be able to come into these different invoices, whichever they may be. And let me just go back to my job screen here, and I'll go up to another one. So we're going to go right here, back into my invoices, and I'm going to come down here, and you're going to see some information. So I can go right here, and I can pull this up, and I can say, I need to correct this. And I can do the correcting entries. It will send the reversing entries back into AR, into the GL, correcting it, and put the new invoice in its place, maintaining the application number. Now, what's really neat about this is, first of all, that's great. But what's really neat is that I could do it for previous bills. So I can do it even if I've billed again since that particular invoice. For some of you, I know you go out and an owner could cut an invoice that's 2 behind, and now you're having to correct everything. Well, you'll notice that when I correct something, it'll let me know, hey, you really need to reprint this one and this one because they happened after it. Really allowing us to keep that whole AIA process in order. We can also, from this screen, see our commitments. And I can see all of my commitments. Now, you do not have to come to this screen to create a subcontract or create a purchase order. You always have the ability to do it right from the menu. However, within the system, you may want to review those different commitments. So as I'm looking at this information, I can see all my purchase orders for this job. I can see all my subcontracts for this job. Anything you see in blue can be drilled into. I'm going to click on this subcontract right now and open it up, and you can see that I see all the details of that subcontract, and it opened in a new screen. I'm still in the job. So we can look through here. We can see each line, where that line is, how much is left to be billed. We can see any of the invoices that have come in against this particular bill. We can see change orders that have been applied to this bill. And as you can see, I can drill into each one of those things. The other thing I want to point out is that Acumatica has full compliance. And that compliance for things like insurance or lien releases, they aren't confined to just the vendor. We can have that information on a subcontract. So if you need insurance provided to you per subcontract or per job with that information on that insurance certificate, we can actually put it right here and track it. So moving forward, we also have full change order functionality within the system. You can see that I have change requests and change orders. So we can do change requests. I'm going to open up a change request right here so we can take a look at it. As you see right here, the change request has the information to update the budget, our cost budget. We can mark that up to figure out our revenue budget increase. Notice that I could actually assign this to a different line of my revenue if I wanted to. We could then mark up the line again if we wanted to. So we've already marked it up $100. Maybe we want to mark it up another 10%. And then we even have a markup on the change request as a total. And this is really important to point out. I could actually change the task for this markup. Let's say you're doing cost plus a fee. Well, and you're still doing that AIA billing. So you have a line for your fee. I could tell it to take this markup and put it to that line. So really keeping everything for that job in order, relatable, and giving you the proper information anytime you need it. From there, we can actually see change orders. So within the change orders themselves, and I'm going to go in here and just go to my change order screen and open up one of my change orders, you'll see how that works. So this is that many to one relationship again. I can create a change order. It's on auto increment per job, and I can pull in the change requests. And you can see I can grab multiple ones and bring them in. If there were more, I could select as many as I want to put on this change order. So as those change requests are getting approved, we can turn them into a change order with a many to one relationship. And that's going to correct our revenue budget and our cost budget. This whole process can have an approval to it if it is needed. Also, within this screen, we have the ability to do reporting. And I mean transactional reporting. So when I'm sitting here on this particular job, let's say, and we're looking at this information, and you can see these actual costs, and I want to know what makes up that actual cost, I can come right here and I can just say view transactions. And for that line, it's going to show me all the transactions that have come in to that line. In this case, it was just an AP invoice. By the way, I could click that and open the AP invoice. I can scroll across and see what it actually was, all the information, how it hit the GL, everything about it. So we can see that information right there on that line. We can also see the commitment details for that line. So you can see there's a commitment amount on that line also. So it could be 5 commitments, but if I come right here and I click on view commitment details, it's going to let me know. So in this particular case, it was that one commitment right there. And I am going to get all the details of that commitment from right here. I could go into that actual purchase order or subcontract like we did a second ago, but I can scroll across right here and see all that details. I can see the original committed amount, the revised. I can see what's open, what's been billed, how much is left. So it really gives us a nice place to let people like a project manager access. They're typically the ones that are setting up this information, and then they're the ones that are following the information as those costs and everything get updated. And with security, it's very easy to maintain what's allowed. I mentioned the forecasting earlier. I do just want to open it up so you can see it. So we do have the ability to do cost projections inside of Acumatica. I can go right up here. I can open up the cost projection. It's going to automatically bring in all my line items. It's going to show me all the way over to here calculated amounts. So what's on my cost budget right now, my budgeted cost, the actuals, and what it thinks is the cost to complete based on my budget less. And then over right next to it, I can enter projected information. And this projected information is really neat because I can do this from all sorts of directions. So I could come right in here and say that my projected cost of completion is going to be $19,000. Well, it's going to say, well, then you have about 6,500 to go, and you're only 65% complete with this job. Oh, well, I really think I'm going to probably spend an extra $8,000 to get this job done. Okay, well, then the projected cost of completion is going to be 20,000, and you're this percent complete. Well, I really think I'm more like 62% complete. And notice that it corrected the other way. So we can attack from any direction. And if we go back and look at the project, so let me just open up that project one more time and look at this information, it's on that cost budget. So I'll just minimize this or actually maximize that. And we'll scroll across and you can see my projected cost to complete here. So everything is updating right here. It's a great place to get all the information you need. Those change requests, by the way, they're going to be potential COs until they become a change order. So you're going to see that information also. The last thing I want to talk about is the reporting that you get by having Acumatica's Construction Edition. So I'm going to go ahead and close this screen out one more time. And let's just go back to construction and talk about a few reports that I think are great. The first one would be the WIP. So if we come in here and we run a WIP report, and we can pick a job, and just because we've been using that hotel job, I could pick that. But in this case, I'm going to run it across all jobs. And we'll just run the report. And you can see how quickly it returns the information. It's cleanly set up. We have all of our jobs right here. We have the contract amounts, the estimated amounts, the budgeted amounts, and our actuals all right here. The great thing about this report is I can click on that job and I can get it in detail. So now it's going to break it down by the cost codes and everything so I can see that information right here in one screen. The next thing I want to talk about, or the next report I want to show you, is the bonding report. So the construction bonding report is a lot like the WIP report, except it gives us some period costs. And the other thing we can do is we can use our cost projections in this report. doesn't need to be modified to have those, whereas the WIP, if you wanted your projections, we'd have to modify that report. But right here, I can come in and say that I want to see all of this with cost projections. And if I run this report now, you'll see that it has a lot of the same type of information, you know, with our percent complete, our contract totals, build to date. But I also have things like my period billings and period costs. And then this cost to complete area is being updated by my projections to really give us a better understanding of exactly where we are on a job. We have the ability to run things like an AP open invoices for a job. So it's a really neat thing to be able to come in here and say, well, show me all my AP that's still open by project. I could run it detailed or summarized, and I can come in and I could select a job, which I'll do real quick here. Just pull up the right hotel job, and I'm going to run this report. You can see on this report, it's broken down by job, then vendor, then the bills for that vendor. And I'm seeing the total amount of the bill, the original retainage information, unreleased retainage associated with that bill, and the net balance all on this job. So we can see exactly what we need to see. The last report I want to show you, which a lot of our customers are really like, because when they're doing that AIA type billing, a lot of them are required to provide backup. So in the system, we have the ability to attach all of our documents to things like the AP invoices. So when I come down here, I have this substantiated billing consolidation. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to pick that hotel project. Grab that one. And then I'm going to roll this back a little bit just because of the fact it's sample data. So it has a little older date. And I'm going to say get file. And what it's doing right now is it's creating a PDF for me. And I'm going to open up this PDF so you can take a look at it. So it's giving me all the transactions in that date. So for you, it may be just that month that you billed. We can see all of the transactions, but what makes this report really good, because of all the attachments and everything, is at the end, there are all the invoices ready to go with that report, making it very easy to provide backup for those billings. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today.